looks like I'm wrapping up the end, so thanks for sticking with me, and happy to be here and talk to you about conversational search. So maybe I'll just clarify a little bit from my introduction, just to tell you a little bit about myself. I am working at the Luxury Closet. I am the VP of Growth and Marketing, so go circular fashion, and happy to promote sustainability there. Before joining the Luxury Closet, which was just last year, I spent 13 years working at Google. So I started there in 2011. And I focused on search for quite some time, working with search with different clients, with different search specialists. And I have to say, throughout the last 10, 15 years, search is something that I'm very, very interested in. I think it's a very powerful tool. And now, as a retailer, it's even more important for me to consider and how we can make the most of it and take advantage of the opportunity. So happy to be here. I'm going to take you a little bit into the past before we go into the future. So back to the future. AI, we've all said it, but I wanted to highlight that AI is a term that has actually been coined back in the 1950s, so a super long time ago. What is thought to be the grandfather of AI is Alan Turing, who developed the Turing test, which is basically the question of can computers think? So basically there was an interrogator and two subjects, one being a computer, one being another person. And the test was to see if over 50% of the time, the computer could fool the interrogator that it was a person. So if it passed, then it was thought that machines do have intelligence. So this is the concept of AI. Within the umbrella of AI, we have machine learning. And so this is, for example, as we see in Amazon with product recommendations, as we would see with facial recognition technologies, as we also see in healthcare, looking at patient symptoms and seeing what illness they might have. Another acronym I will throw out there with you, and then we'll all make sense of it, is NLP, Natural Language Processing. And this is very key to conversational AI and how it is changing the way we search. Basically, natural language processing is the ability for the computer, for the machine, to actually tell the nuance between the keywords. So if I were to search, and this may have been searched a lot lately, when is the best time to see the light show at the Burj Khalifa? It would understand that the Burj Khalifa and the light show is a particular event, and it wouldn't just surface a web page that said the keywords when/is/the/best/time. It takes a whole string into consideration. So as I think the previous guy who was saying, these keyword searches are getting a lot longer because of this ability of natural language processing. And we saw natural language processing actually like 10 to 15 years ago. So with Siri, with Apple, with Amazon, with Alexa, and then also with Google Assistant in 2016. So just to frame it all together, if we were to kind of define conversational AI, this is a dumbed down version of it, but we have AI as the overall umbrella, and machine learning and natural language processing are two key elements. There's a bunch of other stuff in there, text-to-language optimizations and so on, but this is the key of it. So then we get to some of the LLMs that are out there right now. So we have Gemini, Perplexity, ChatGPT, and this is really fundamentally changing the way we search today. So, So here I have, for example, a traditional search that I would say visit Greece. What happens? The surfaces the website visit Greece. That's the exact keyword that matches there. Then let's say I'm changing this. When is the best time to visit Greece? And as the search result shows, it has changed from visit Greece to something that is weather related, because it then figures out that when is the best time, I'm probably talking about climate. And it highlights the best actual time during the year when to travel to Greece. Now, this is not an AI overview. This is simply the summary of the first article that we see there. AI overview is something very interesting. If you guys have had a chance to check it out, it's really, really cool. It's actually not, as far as I know, it's not launched in the region yet. But AI overview will take the search query and it will summarize all of the web pages that are related to that and have a full recommendation and summary for you that's easy to digest. So here, for example, how to pick the right watermelon by tapping. Does this actually work? It will give you a number of different answers, and it'll answer questions that you didn't even ask. I use this myself when I was looking, for example, I was traveling with my family trip to New Zealand. Please plan me a trip to New Zealand for the next 2 weeks. And it gave me hotels, it gave me where to stop, all the different cities, the actual route. It is, you know, it was really, really, really awesome. So this is definitely changing, pardon me, the way that we can look up information. Something else that has been released is AI mode. I don't know if you guys have experienced that, but in addition to the query, you can upload photos. So for example, here there's a photo that is uploaded. Let's say you've read 5, 6 books. You take the picture of these books, and then you say, which other books shall I recommend? What Google does is takes a look at all the details. So if you're familiar with Google Lens, leveraging this technology, taking a look at all of the details that's in the photo and running other queries behind all those details and then surfacing the results that are there for you. So it would then share the list of books that they recommend reading based on the initial books that you had taken a photo of. And then obviously you can refine your search by saying, okay, let's say I want a shorter read. Which of this read would you recommend? Now, shifting a little bit more outside, ChatGPT, I'm sure everyone is obviously familiar with this. ChatGPT Live, this is a very, very cool feature because it is technology where you can have video and audio input simultaneous. So I was taking a look at this with my friend. You take your phone, you're looking at something, and then you ask your phone the details about it. So imagine you're traveling, you take your video, you see a statue, tell me about this. It's direct audio feedback. You're going shopping, you're looking at some plants. How quickly do I need to water this? Or how often do I need to water this plant, for example? So it's giving you immediate feedback through video and through and interacting you through voice. And then last example I'll show is Perplexity AI, which is, I think, it's becoming larger in the US. It has a new emphasis on sourcing. So it is a little bit more, let's say, academic focused. So if you enter in the query, then it will have the summary, it'll have different citations and sources. And the other interesting thing about Perplexity is it doesn't have a cutoff date. With Gemini and ChatGPT, it has what we know as a cutoff date with the information that it's trained on at a certain time. Perplexity is more on a real-time basis. So there's a lot of stuff out there, and it's changing so quickly. There are always new releases that are out. It's a little bit difficult to keep track of, but I think one of the main questions is, what does that pose for businesses? What are some of the challenges? What are some of the opportunities? I think one of the major challenges is if you're, for example, an informational site and you're typing in a query and then you get the answer that's right there, you might see a decrease in click-through rates. People won't necessarily have the need to go to that site. Also, there will be, I'll say just on the other point on that, if you're a transactional site, there's still a need likely to go to that site. So I think take a look at the differences between more informational and then also more transactional. You'll see a difference there. More pressure, more need to be on top. Again, if the AI overview is expanded and there's less visibility of other sites, it's even, or also in the LLMs, usually there's just a few resources that are highlighted. So again, it's more pressure to be there. But then on the opportunity side, there's a lot more opportunities on where you can actually be visible. There's more searches happening, more types of searches. So this is kind of broadening our world, and it's changing very, very quickly. And then the other point is AI optimization. This will become increasingly important to ensure that you are there for the relevant types of queries that are happening in AI, which may be different than as we know it on traditional search, as we've kind of taken a look at before. So on AI optimization, just wanted to talk a little bit about this. For example, there's agencies out there. Saya by Crossfill is one that I'm familiar with. And what you can do is kind of map the different criteria, see what people are searching for you in LLMs, and how you are being represented against a peer set in those particular platforms, and then try to see where there is headroom to play. So taking a look at what queries are relevant to your business, how you are showing up in these LLMs, and what you can do to improve your visibility is going to be even more important as we evolve in the future. If anyone is familiar with maybe more traditional SEO optimizations, you might be familiar with EEAT, experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. This is absolutely still applicable in the world of AI, and even maybe more so. So experience, are you a credible site? Do you have the experience to say what you want to say? That's expertise, my bad. Experience is more looking at the performance of the site, so the user experience, bounce rates and stuff. This is absolutely still very relevant. Expertise, do you have authority to say what you're saying? Do you have credible sources? Authoritativeness, also, are other sites referring back to you? Do you have links and backlinks with other sites? Definitely still there. And then trustworthiness, making sure that, from a data privacy perspective, you're doing what you say you're doing and explicit about that. So this is definitely an area that is changing and that it's important to keep an eye on. Now, we've talked a little bit about how search has evolved, how search strings have evolved, and that we need to optimize to. But also, I want to say that on-site search, so on actual retailer search, the consumer expectation is changing here, and it's important to take note of this. Working at the luxury closet and being in the luxury industry, Burberry had launched a chatbot in collaboration with Messenger. This is a long time back, but at that time, it was definitely revolutionary and something interesting. So you can ask more, indirect questions, find me a gift for him, for her, taking a look at the different fashion shows, finding the store location, all very seamless within the on-site chatbot. Now, fast forwarding more today, for example, with Instacart, they have a very powerful LLM search, let's say, backend that allows them to surface very, very relevant products. So imagine, for example, if you're looking at a grocery site and you type in butternut squash, and if they don't have butternut squash, but they give you butternut squash sauce, if that exists, because butternut squash sauce has the word butternut squash in it, and that's the most closely related. No, it would be a much better experience if you had if you were then to see pumpkins or other types of substitutes. So having the smart search on your site and improving the customer experience is going to be very, very important to kind of keep and capture that customer. So a few kind of future trends to watch out for, how things are evolving, and they're evolving very, very quickly. One is increased multimodal interaction. So multimodal is instead of just text, using voice, using pictures, using videos, as we've seen with live chat GPT, as we've seen with the AI overview, and so on. Hyper-personalization. So if you have the data of somebody with their search history, their purchase history, and then they're back on your site, you better show them something that's relevant. Another point with hyper-personalization, I think, is also let's be smart about it. So if I've searched, for example, a black shoe, don't haunt me around for 2-3 months with this black shoe, but how can you know what I'm interested in general and then surface me relevant content that is interesting to me? And then changing consumer expectations of search. I don't know if you guys have seen the meme, but there's like a 8-year-old baby who's looking at a magazine, like the paper magazine, and swiping through and then frustrated that the images don't move, right? If you think of like how my parents search, which is very, very different than how I search, which is a little bit maybe more complex, and then how Zoomers search when they're 18 to 25, Zoomers won't know, for example, what I've grown up with in terms of like light programming with DOS and like knowing these kind of unique ways to query things. Everything will have to be intuitive for them. So making sure that you're being relevant and catering to the needs and the expectations of the evolving and different audiences is definitely going to be key. So with so much change happening in AI and with the question of, what's going to happen, will there be anything for me? I have this fun little video at the end. Looking to upskill for the future?
This new AI can perform all coding jobs in seconds, including blockchain development. While this AI is already outperforming accounting firms. Meanwhile, the new graphic design AI aims to automate graphic design and could minimize the need for
Relax. Because in a future where AI does most of the work, there'll be one thing that humans will finally get to do all day long. Nothing. So it's time to learn the most essential skill of the future. 5-Star presents Nothing University with the first ever diploma program in doing nothing. An intensive course covering the most future-ready skills out there.
Well, let me check with the AI and get back to you in a few days.
Super. With our state-of-the-art workshops, campus placements, and guest lectures, the world can finally prepare for the glorious future that awaits us. Meet 5-Star. Do nothing. Enroll now.
Thank you.